So now let's take a look at Airbnb's balance sheet. The company's cash and equivalents stand at $7.7 billion as of September 30th, 2024, reflecting strong liquidity to support operations and potential investments. Despite high operational expenses due to growth initiatives, this cash position is robust. With $2.0 billion in convertible senior notes due in 2026 and no borrowings from its $1.0 billion credit facility, Airbnb maintains a conservative debt strategy. The share repurchase program, with $1.1 billion utilized out of $6.0 billion authorized, signals management's confidence in the company's valuation and a commitment to returning capital to shareholders. Notably, retained earnings have improved from negative $4.1 billion to negative $3.8 billion over the last quarter, indicating a gradual move towards profitability. Click the video link below and watch our full analysis of Airbnb Inc.